Subscribe to the Mystic Vibrations Shock of the Hour program today and never miss another episode. The Shock of the Hour is a Radio Anu exclusive program produced every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. By now, I am sure that you are aware that all our programs are packed with information, inspiration, mystic vibrations, as well as hot button topics. Every evening we enter into a different dimension, even if it is a part 2 of the previous program, whether it's history or mystery, biology or philosophy, domestic affairs or the locks of your hair. The mystic vibration is sure to bring something new and interesting to the table every evening. So never miss another episode again. Subscribe to the Shock of the Hour now. And don't forget your key Swahili word of the day and your daily scientific fact. So, to subscribe, give us an email, priestisaac27@gmail.com, or call or WhatsApp us today. Area code 1268-728-3162. The Shock of the Hour. Never miss another program. And a special note to all our new subscribers. All our new subscribers will receive a special copy of the DVD documentary, full length, The Night of the Black Tiger, The Divinity of Marcus Messiah God. Alafia to each and every one. Salamta and blessed love. Honorable Priest Isaac here. It is with great joy that I am happy to announce to you that I have officially released my first ebook, Anu Ancient and Modern Revisited. This is the continuation process of our easy-to-read books. Within the pages of Anu Ancient and Modern Revisited, we take the time to show you the spiritual connection with the island of Antigua and Heliopolis in Kemet in Egypt, with the island of Antigua and the legendary continent of Atlantis. We also highlight Green Castle Hill, also known as Mount Anu, which is known as the Stonehenge of the Caribbean, with the countless of megaliths that align with the movements of the heavens. This is a must-read for all those who are students of the esoteric realms, astronomy, geology, and ancient sites. Of course, to get a copy of your book, all you have to do is to contact us at area code 1268-728-3162. Call, text, or even WhatsApp. Or you can email us at priestisaac27@gmail.com to get a copy of your ebook, Anu Ancient and Modern. It is an easy to read book, may appear light, but it is extremely heavy. Blessed love.
All we say to America is be true to what you said on paper. If I lived in China or even Russia or any totalitarian country, maybe I could understand some of these illegal injunctions. Maybe I could understand the denial of certain basic First Amendment privileges because they haven't committed themselves to that over there. But somewhere I read of the freedom of assembly. Somewhere I read of the freedom of speech. Somewhere I read of the freedom of press. Somewhere I read that the greatness of America is the right to protest far right. And so just as I say we aren't going to let any dogs or water hoses turn us around, we aren't going to let any injunction turn us around. Well, I don't know what will happen now. We've got some difficult days ahead. But it really doesn't matter with me now, because I've been to the mountaintop. I don't mind. Like anybody, I would like to live a long life. Longevity has its place. But I'm not concerned about that now. I just want to do God's will. And He's allowed me to go up to the mountain. And I've looked over and I've seen the promised land. I may not get there with you, but I want you to know tonight that we as a people will get to the promised land. So I'm happy tonight. I'm not worried about anything. I'm not fearing any man. Mine eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord.
Yes, we are definitely thankful. Another session of the shock of the hour at hand. Of course, you know, the tiger's nest in full effect as we continue with our full meditation of righteousness, you know. All right, everything is good, everything is perfect, and everything is wonderful. Just gotta remind everyone of our petition that's up. Remember, the petition is up right now. All you have to go is to the petitionsite.com. That's the petitionsite.com. The destruction of Greencastle Hill in Antigua. And if you just put Greencastle Hill, the petition will show up. Give thanks to our brethren, Rick Rass, you know, definitely dealing with the whole establishment of that petition. I'm asking each and everyone to check the petition out, you know, read the information thereof and see if it is something that you'd like to partake of, something that you'd like to put your hand towards as far as signing the petition to you know, we're looking for 10,000 supporters. So when you sign the petition, you become a supporter. So signing the petition to really present to the people who are in authority so they could understand the amount of support that we really have internationally as it relates to preserving Greencastle Hill. You know, the megaliths, countless of megaliths, you know. Everyone has their work to do. Just the other evening we were talking about the tigers. There are so many people in the world that's their daily bread as such. Not as far as being paid to do it, some are, but some literally their heart is towards that majestic animal so much that they put their all into saving the tigers, you know. So there you go again. I myself, I put as well. We just did a whole program on that. Plus, as I said, even behind the scenes, that is something that I put my hand towards, the whole preservation of the tigers too. But obviously, I obviously put more in the Greencastle Hill as it relates to the sacred national treasure that we have. So check the site out, the petition site, petitionsite.com, Greencastle Hill. And of course, you know, Greencastle Hill is going to be the highlight in just over a month. Wow, it's almost here. The winter solstice hike and tour to Greencastle Hill is almost here. We're watching the movements of the sun. I myself, I am watching how the sun is, you know, moving towards the Archer constellation, where it will be during that time, the alignment, because remember the 21st of December. Okay, if you could recall, it was 2012, the 21st day of December, wasn't it? When they were talking about the whole vibration as it relates to the Mayan calendar and the alignment and the coming of the end of an age. Some people thought it was the end of the world. you know, and that's what happens when you take symbolism and try to make history out of it. But the point is, it did make history. I was on Greencastle Hill at that day, that very moment when the alignment took place. I was right there. It was the alignment of the Earth and the Sun and the center of the galaxy, the Milky Way galaxy that we are in. So every 21st day of December, that alignment sort of takes place. You know, they actually are in that row, but it's not a perfect line, perfection, like that would have created like an eclipse there. Because you would know every new moon, the moon is with the sun, very close to each other. But it is on special occasions they perfectly cross between each other and create that effect that we know as an eclipse, a solar eclipse specifically. So that alignment with the earth, the moon, and the sun, it happens all the time. It's continued every full moon and every new moon. The three objects, stellar objects, being the sun, the moon, and the earth, are in a line every new moon and every full moon. But on specific new moons and specific full moons, you get that perfect alignment that creates an eclipse. And that's what happened on the 21st day of December. There was that perfect 2012 perfect alignment that created, and it wasn't an eclipse, but something happened that day. You better believe it. In the cosmic, in the cosmos, in the whole balance of your chakra and everything, because it's just natural. It's a natural thing, and that's what the Olmec Mayan people overstood, what they comprehended even at that time. So the 21st day of December, I'm just showing you that more than just the winter solstice, there's a deep correlation with the center of the galaxy, because the center of the galaxy is located as we're relating this to the constellations. Follow me good. In relation to the constellations, specifically the ecliptic belt or the zodiac belt of constellations, the center of the galaxy is located just a bit off of the arrow of Sagittarius, the archer. You get what I'm saying? So the sun would cover that area on any given 21st day. It will cover that area. The alignment may not be precise as perfect to create that energy that took place in 2012, but it definitely would cover that area. So there's a different science in the winter solstice even than the equinoxes and the other solstice for the summer, you know. So we're definitely looking forward once again for all of our friends, all of our loved ones, families who will be visiting us. Definitely this year, 2018, for the Greencastle Hill Tour Hike Winter Solstice experience right here in Antigua. I know you've seen the ad, and I'm looking forward to, you know, seeing all those who will be coming down. Okay, or coming up, depending on exactly where you're coming from. Here is what we're talking about now. We will be reasoning about the situation, the news that came out. Many of you may not have heard the news because some of the news that we depend on, they wouldn't be too quick to, you know, report about this as such. But China is making a move, and they intend to put their moon in the atmosphere by 2020. Have you heard of that? China is making an artificial moon, and they intend to put their moon, their artificial moon, out into the atmosphere, in the sky, by 2020. Now this moon is going to basically shine over a specific city in China. It is said to have, it will have between 8 and 10 times the brightness of the regular moon. Okay. And it is to replace the street lights in the city. China is doing this, an artificial moon. Interesting. When I heard this news, it brought me back again to Brother Delbert Blair. Brother Delbert Blair is very adamant that although he has passed on, that the moon, like the moon that we know of, is an artificial satellite. Yeah, man, Brother Delbert Blair pushed that hard, and he explains the people that live on the other side of that and some bases that are set up. Not U.S. military base, some other entity that has established that artificial satellite, as Brother Delbert Blair. So now, many people would disagree with him and say, nah, man, they don't believe that the moon is an artificial satellite, etc., etc. But now China is showing you that it is possible to create an artificial satellite, the moon. I don't know how high they're going to put it. We will find out maybe, because we're going to listen to a little news documentary relating to such a subject, the moon that China is putting up in the sky. I don't think it's going to have a rotation flow of the moon. Some people are already saying that it's going to complicate. First of all, the moon is going to be over one city, and they say if the project goes good, in the next 2 years after that, they're going to launch 2 more moons. So maybe they'll put them over 2 other cities, and artificial moons might just become the thing of the future. All right, so sounds crazy, sounds weird, sounds off. Guess we just gotta wait and see exactly what it is. I mean, we could call it what I don't know. You gotta what sort of frequency is this artificial moon sending off? Because you gotta keep in mind, as it says, they're gonna replace street lamps. Now, don't take the street lamps and the street lights as simple as we have them just for light. For those of you who are in the know and who study, you would know that there have been cases where street lights and street lamps, different color bulbs and color beams of light, were established as experiments on populations inside of subway stations, experiments to see how people react when they are exposed to certain type of lights. I'm sure you know that. Secret agencies, let's say, were the ones that carried out these experiments. This is history. This is well known, I mean, we have seen these things explained. You see, the thing about it, that's why I have to pull National Geographic and Discovery Channel sometimes. Because sometimes you speak and people, oh, he's crazy. He's always talking some madness. But if you say, but man, CNN was talking about that. CNN. Oh, well, it must be true. Exactly. So sometimes you have to call for the mainstream so they can understand this ain't no hoax. This is nothing we're pulling out of the bag. They have used light and they have experimented on their own population to see how they react. Probably to use the same lights in war somewhere else, but they use their own as guinea pig to test it out, to numb a community, to get a community docile, so they may want to come in and take the people resources, their water, their minerals, and break down their mountains and take something out. And for them to do that, they have to dumb the people, because these people are feisty. And they just put a few street lights and the people them dumb. So that's the power of street lights. That's just reality. That is real news there. That has happened and is happening. So I don't know what sort of frequency this moon is going to be giving off. That's the point. If it's just a light, well, it's a light. It's a light. Don't get carried away. I don't know how big it's going to be. I guess we just got to see. But I don't think it's going to be no great challenge to the real moon that affects the water and affects the tides and the movements. And just for the record, by the way, I do not agree with Dr. Delbert Blair. I think the moon is just as real as it appears, just as real as the planet Earth, and just as real as any other star or planet that's out there. That's my opinion on the moon that we see with the emperor facing it. Another point, big point. Yeah, that's my opinion on that moon. But with all respect to Dr. Delbert Blair, and his points are always, I would always encourage you to take in consideration his information. You agree or disagree, take it into consideration and maybe use it to do more research into the subject area, because he's very profound in a lot of what he says, and that's Dr. Delbert Blair, you know. But I'm just saying now, so the moon that takes care of the earth and assists even in the rotation of the earth, in the stability of the earth, and the water table, and our emotions, and the cycle of both man and woman, we are all connected to that moon. I don't think a little moon in China that is supposed to replace the lighting system of a city should be that much of an interference with the moon that is orbiting the earth. But as I said, we just gotta see what it is that they're producing. What sort of frequency is it giving off? That's the level I'm carrying it at, you know. Yeah, if it's just a light, well, it's light. They have lights all over. We may say, man, that's madness, but to me it's madness to be driving in a car in the night and cars coming towards you and the light is shining in your face. To me, that's madness. In fact, watching a television and even looking on these computers, that's madness too. We're just looking into lights. That's all we're doing, you know, looking into lights. Imagine that, just looking into lights. We've come numb to looking into lights. Would you put the light on in your room and just look into the light? No. But you put on the TV and just look into the light. And it damages our eyes, all of us. Our eyes would go by just looking into light. The television light and the other light, and it plays with the muscles of your eyes and other things. But anyway, let's go into this documentary here. It's a news report, pardon me. It's an extended news report directly dealing with the moon, the man-made moon, made in China. And this is from In Depth, coming out of India. All right.
Hello and welcome to In Depth. I'm Tina Jha. At a time when several countries across the world are trying to get back to the moon, China is planning to put a moon of its own in the sky. According to a report by China Daily, Chengdu city in southwestern Sichuan province of China is developing illumination satellites which will shine along with the real moon but will be 8 times brighter than the real one. These satellites will reflect the sun's light at night and supplement street lighting in Chengdu, a city with the population of 1.6 million. Placed only 500 kilometers above the earth, the light reflected from the man-made moon will be more luminous than the actual moon. The project by a private space contractor is set to be completed in 2020. If the experiment proves successful, 2 more such moons could be sent up by 2022. In today's edition of In Depth, we try and understand how a fake moon will work, how viable is the idea, and its impact on the environment. In an announcement on the 10th of October, a private company in China announced the creation of a fake moon to light up the streets of one of its cities called Chengdu. The artificial moon, if successfully launched, would be 8 times brighter than the actual moon and could light up a distance of up to 80 kilometers in every direction, effectively replacing all of the city's street lights. The main reason behind the idea is to bring down electricity costs. A look at the details of this ambitious plan. In a bid to cut electricity costs in urban areas, China is planning to launch an artificial moon by 2020. The artificial moon or illumination satellite is expected to replace street lamps at night. A private Chinese space company plans to build an artificial moon for Chengdu, the capital of southwestern Sichuan province. The announcement was made at the Tianfu New Area Science Society at an innovation and entrepreneurship conference in Chengdu on October 10th. According to Wu Chunfeng, head of the Chengdu Aerospace Science and Technology Microelectronic System Research Institute company, the artificial moon would be 8 times brighter than the actual moon and will be able to light an area with a diameter of 10 to 80 kilometers, bathing it in a dusk-like glow. The satellite will orbit about 500 kilometers above the city and use its mirror-like coating to reflect sunlight back to Earth. According to Wu, both the location and brightness of the human-made moon can be changed, and it can even be completely shut off if necessary. The satellite can also assist in disaster relief by beaming light on areas that have lost power. The first of these man-made moons will launch from Sichuan's Xichang Satellite Launch Center by 2020, with 3 more to follow in 2022 if the first test goes well. The lunar project aims to cut down the cost of streetlights in China's bustling cities. By lighting up just 50 square kilometers of Chengdu's night sky, the fake moon could save Chengdu, which has a population of 14.5 million, an estimated $174 million each year. If successful, the 3 follow-up moons will be able to light up 3,600 to 6,400 square kilometers for up to 24 hours. While the satellite boasts of the advantage of human control, many experts believe the lights reflected from space could have adverse environmental effects, including severe light pollution. It is also likely to affect the daily routine of nocturnal animals and also interfere with astronomical observation.
So are you hearing that? The lights reflected from space could have adverse environmental effects, including severe light pollution. It could affect daily routine of nocturnal animals and interfere with astronomical observations. Well, as far as the daily routine of nocturnal animals, we have already interfered with that, just with the same regular street lights, you understand? But you have to keep in mind, this whole space race and this moon war, because even though they're creating a fake moon, there's still a war about the moon too, It is said that China has already put certain things on the moon where they are setting out to within the next 30 to 40 years, if that much, will be able to set up communities on the moon. You never hear that? And Russia is doing the same, literally into that at the moment. Now, that's what you hear. I mean, I can't say I've never been to the moon to see exactly what's going on. But one thing I know, as a student of science, if it's one thing I know, if the science we've been given is correct, this thing about going to the moon and sending things to the moon, and so it's not as easy as it sounds, That is why, especially that stuff in 1960, whenever it was, about them landing on the moon, I mean, that's as fake can get. That's faker than the moon that they're making here. If it's one thing I'm sure of. Some people say they never went, but they've been after. All right, I ain't gonna argue that with no one, but I'm sure. Maybe I could argue the point, but I'll have to sit on it a bit longer. But that moon landing, the first supposed moon landing with Buzz Aldrin and Neil Armstrong and the footprint that was left in the moon and all of them kind of things there. Come on. And the rocks they brought back and the pictures they took and the flag waving and one small step for mankind and however it goes. No, one small step for man and one big leap for mankind. Come on, that deserved a Grammy Award. That's my point, for sure. And other trips after that, for sure. Some of them you see the string that have the astronauts floating. Yeah, I mean, after the first moon landing, the other moon landings, that's what I'm talking about. The engineer that was the chief engineer of the rocket that went to the moon and that sent them out to outer space, pardon me, to go to the moon. He's saying that, hey, the chief engineer, man, not no look aside, look onlooker from the side. The chief engineer is saying nothing can go so. That could not have happened. So they obviously push him aside to get what they needed to get done. When you understand what was happening at the time, Russia supposedly has seen the backside of the moon. Nobody have ever seen that. And America got scared. And what the machine is, Sputnik. And they're sending out monkey and sending out dog and saying, nah man, we have to send out some people. So they just call Hollywood, put the things together, and in a few short years they're done on the moon, as if the moon is just there. The Van Allen's belt, taking pictures. They took pictures on the moon, and brought them back through the Van Allen's belt. They carried them through, going to the moon, and brought them back coming from the moon. The Van Allen's belt, that area of strong radiation. And they brought it back through the Van Allen's belt and landed, and they went into the dark room, and the pictures came out crisp and clear. And the camera was not protected. But you see, that's the power of thought. Because maybe they didn't know that it is impossible to do that. The Van Allen's belt, is not a belt like what you have in your pants. It's like miles of radiation that you have to pass through, that can fry you, that can kill anything in a second. And that rocket, that spaceship passed through, floating through the Van Allen's belt. That ship must have been well protected to survive the Van Allen's belt. But the fact that the camera was not in a lead compartment, and it survived with the pictures, that's impossible. It's impossible. And if you watch the documentary that was done by the Discovery Channel, Moon Hoax, it's right under YouTube. The chief photographer at the time of that documentary at NASA, the chief photographer at NASA, it's on the documentary. He was promoting the moon stuff, so of course they went to the moon. What you talking about? And the interviewer asked him about that same thing about the lead box and how did the pictures survive if they were not put in a lead compartment. They do that today, but how could the picture survive passing through the Van Allen's belt? And if you watch that video, go and watch it. The Moon Hoax, I think you put in Discovery Channel and you get it. It's hard to get now. They try to make these things so hard to get, they might soon ban them. And then when you look at that, you will see the look on his face, and I think his reaction was, that's very interesting. That's very interesting. Something of the sort. But that was the reaction. Remember, he's the chief photographer here now. And he's saying, of course we went to the moon. Who are you? And then now the interviewer is putting something down his lane. He's speaking his language. Photography. Van Allen's belt. And astronomy. He put everything together. How the pictures survive without the protective compartment. Wow, that's interesting. It's more than interesting, it's a lie. You understand? So I'm just showing you this thing about now they're making fake moon, this thing about the moon. So the point is that they are supposedly on the moon now, setting up cities. Yeah, it's well known. You hear about it. And there's a talk about China also creating a fake sun. And then there's another aspect to this that we must keep in mind, and that is the aspect that has to do with the reflection. Remember, the moon reflects the light from the sun. So the moon that we're dealing with here, I don't know if it's self-luminous or what, but I know from my understanding, because I've read some of the reports too, I'm not reading anything tonight, but from my comprehension, they're mirrors as well. Now you see, that's another thing, that whole reflection, if they're reflections, but that concept of reflecting light, even as weaponry, it's not a new thing, Even from the 1500s, one of these pirates around here wanted to get a big mirror to reflect the light from the sun to blind the enemy ships that were coming. That's in the 1600s, right around here. And just within the last century, that whole science of using mirrors as a weapon became big. Up to now, they still use the ionosphere as like a reflective weapon, reflective aspect of weaponry, creating earthquakes and other things. I hear another earthquake in Jamaica, man. It's child. And the job be praised in every aspect of life, you know. Yeah, so the fake moon, man.
The launch and maintenance of the satellites will be an expensive task. It will also be a huge challenge to assemble it in orbit. Experts believe that it is highly unlikely for the fake moon to last for a longer period. It is also unclear whether the idea has the official nod of the Chinese government. Wu says the idea of the artificial moon came from a French artist who imagined hanging a necklace made of mirrors above the earth which could reflect sunshine through the streets of Paris all year round. But China is not the first country to try beaming sunlight back to earth. In the 1920s, a German physicist named Hermann Oberth proposed the idea of using a space-based mirror to reflect light to Earth, but the plan failed. In 1993, Russian scientists reportedly used giant mirrors to reflect light from space in an experimental project called Namya. Namya briefly beamed a spot of light about 5 kilometers in diameter to Earth that was 2 to 3 times as bright as the moon, but the mirror burned up as it re-entered Earth's atmosphere a few days later. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV. Aerospace officials say putting a fake moon in space could actually end up being cheaper than paying for the street lights. And scientifically too, it is a viable option. But there are bound to be several challenges in making an artificial moon a reality. Let's analyze the challenges as well as the impact of a fake moon on the environment. The artificial moon that the city of Chengdu in southwest China plans to launch into the sky will be a satellite capable of generating a light that's 8 times brighter than the real moon and replacing the need for street lights in the city. The satellite would orbit 500 kilometers above Earth, roughly the same height as the International Space Station. The real moon orbits on an average about 380,000 kilometers above Earth. Chinese media reports say testing had begun on the satellite years ago, and the technology has now evolved enough to allow for the launch of an artificial moon in 2020. If the experiment proves successful, 2 more such moons could be sent up by 2022. While the first fake moon will be mostly experimental, the others, expected to be launched in 2022, will have great civic and commercial potential. Experts say scientifically the idea is viable, but in order to serve its purpose, the fake moon would have to be permanently in orbit over Chengdu. This means it would have to be in geostationary orbit, about 37,000 kilometers from the Earth. However, at an altitude as low as 500 kilometers and considering a diameter small enough to be economically viable, accuracy will be the key. Missing the angle of reflection by even a few degrees would miss Chengdu by miles. Further, there must be ample glow to replace street lights. But if this glow covers a large area, it could potentially affect the daily cycle of animals and plants and even affect the human body clock.
Wow.
Concerns have already been raised in China about the impact an artificial moon would have on the environment. While some say the dusk-like glow of the fake moon will confuse nocturnal animals, others argue that many cities in China already suffer from light pollution. Research shows light pollution affects human health and the patterns of wildlife badly. It affects human sleep, making them prone to diseases like obesity, depression, and even cancer. Light pollution confuses birds when they navigate from one place to another and also affects the active life of animals like bats. Plants' life stages also get disrupted. On the whole, these changes alter the entire ecosystem. Besides, the artificial moon would also create problems for Chengdu's residents who will be unable to screen out the unwanted light. Conversely, if the light is too faint, then it wouldn't serve the purpose it is intended to. The idea of a space mirror to create daylight at night has been tried earlier as well. In 2013, 3 large computer-controlled mirrors were installed above the Norwegian town of Ridgegarn to track the movement of the sun and reflect its rays down on the town square. Decades ago, in 1993, a team of Russian astronomers and engineers succeeded in launching a satellite into space to deflect sunlight back to Earth, briefly illuminating the nighttime hemisphere.
Hear that?
A more ambitious attempt was made again by the Russians in 1999, prompting preemptive concerns about light pollution, disrupting nocturnal animals and astronomical observation. But it misfired on launch, and its creators failed to raise funding for another attempt. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
So what you're saying there, so we have cases in the past, in the 90s, with the Russians and other ones, sending satellites out into space, and in some cases using the mirrors right here on Earth to literally lengthen the day, reflecting the sunlight from a distance and pointing it back to the area that you want it to be pointed at. So when the sun sets, and officially it should be dark, you still have light outside of the natural flow of the Earth and the surrounding planets, stars, whatever you may have, moon, whatever you may have. So you add, let's say, an hour or two to the day, the daylight as such. And you know, it's easy for us to look at that and say, wow, that's ingenious. That's the power that God gave to man, for us to use our minds to better ourselves. So just like how Joshua stopped the sun then, and you feel the sun gone and you want 2 more hours of sunlight, you can use your intelligence and put something way up there in the sky that the light of the sun can reflect on it, and it is set in such a way that it would send back that light to a specific spot on the planet that you want to, let's just say 200 square miles, that you want to illuminate, and it will do that for the next 2 hours, not with the natural sunlight that is reflecting back, even though it may not be as bright as what you want, but you have a device set up that you can do that. We would look at that as being very intelligent. And obviously it takes some level of intelligence from for the group or crew that thought of that from its inception to the finale. All right. But is that something right? As intelligent as it may be to do that, is it correct? What? Yes, you can see a little bit more light, so you can have a few more rounds in the ballpark. But that's what the same lights you created it for. So in the sunset, you put on the light in the ballpark. Because confusing the birds and confusing the worms and the butterflies and even the little insects may not be as wise as it may seem. Because you see, as humans, once we safe. We don't care how many trees we cut down and how many birds have to migrate. Once we can put up some houses and this and that, and then create a little park and maybe try to bring some more birds back in, we're not concerned. The lighting system, we never think about that. That the lighting system that we put up can confuse a bird. That's why when you see the eclipse, the solar eclipse, you see the chickens, the fowls, the cocks around here go back in the tree and they go to rest. And then when the eclipse done, they wake up and start to crow again. But that's what they're accustomed to do when it gets dark and when it gets bright. They're moving naturally with their biological clock. You got to keep in mind that these animals are in tune. They've put birds, I think it's the hummingbirds, they've put birds. People torture animals like this too, you know, and put them in rooms with lights on, knowing that the bird will fly and fly and fly and fly until it drop down dead. Till it drop down dead. Scientists have done that for their own experiments. Till the bird dropped down dead. They didn't have to kill the bird. I could tell it that's what's going to happen. So that's why when they put prisoners and so-called crazy people in rooms with lights and bright lights too for days, oh, that's torture. That is torture. Not only, the human body and anything needs darkness, even the plants. Some of us are growing our plants now, the cannabis too, and it's just constant light. Because it gets bigger and it gets this and it gets that. Okay, yes, it does. But it wasn't created by nature to go through that. There's a cycle of darkness and there's a cycle of light. And depending on when it went into the ground and where it is on the planet, the amount of darkness and the amount of light that moon and sun provides for it, and the moonlight it gets at its time frame, is perfect. We may not see that perfection, but that perfection is there. Everything is well set by the supreme being that put all things in motion, that makes these eclipses and perfection and precise in timing, and sun and moon look the same size and distance is just precise. So when you put a seed in the ground in August, even if it's a bit off of the planting season for the plant, it's all right. When you put it in and where you are and the elevation that you are at, plus the movement of the sun and the cycle of the moon and every star that's out at that time, all works together to bring that plant to its fullness. But when you put it inside of a room and you have lights beaming down on it and fans blowing it, yes, I understand it's technology and it gives you a better yield, it appears. But there's no better yield than the natural yield. And I'm saying all that to say, so giving the town an extra 2 hours of sunlight looks very brilliant, apt word, and very ingenious. But is it wise? And the same way that it is distorting the bird, it's somehow distorting us too. Is it wise? And this is what happens when people make themselves the god of everything, Yeah, we are gods and goddesses, and we are supposed to advance it, man. That's what it says in the hymn. Advance this day that the Lord has blessed. So we're supposed to advance it and carry it to a higher level. But we gotta understand limits and don't leave the realms of nature. And that is what the eagle and the dragon and the bear are doing and have been doing. And as long as they are around, I'm sure they will be doing. Yeah, the fake moon. Wow. Holy Emmanuel I, Selassie I, Jah, Rastafari. So we're looking out for that 2020. That's the year of vision, isn't it? 2020 vision. And some of us, I guess, will go to China and see it with our eyes exactly how it looks. But it's going to be in orbit, so it's going to be way up there. I hope you don't fall and drop nowhere. Boy, wow, all of that. All of that. I'm telling you. So remember to check out the petition as well. The petition site.com, Greencastle Hill, of course, and sign the petition and show your support, as well as the whole aspect of the winter solstice. Looking forward to all those who will be coming through, and those who may not be coming through, well, give thanks. We will do it again for sure. And remember that you could definitely, even your book, Anu Ancient and Modern, get a copy of your book, Anu Ancient and Modern, as well as the True Biblical Land of Israel. It is definitely a must, So as I always say, if you know your Bible and you do not know your history, the knowledge of your Bible will become a mystery. And it definitely takes some real eyes to realize the real lies that are amongst us. Give thanks. Holy Emmanuel I, Selassie I, Jah, Rastafari. Blessed love, family. Subscribe to the Mystic Vibrations Shock of the Hour program today and never miss another episode. The Shock of the Hour is a Radio Anu exclusive program produced every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. By now, I am sure that you are aware that all our programs are packed with information, inspiration, mystic vibrations, as well as hot button topics. Every evening we enter into a different dimension, even if it is a part 2 of the previous program. Whether it's history or mystery, biology or philosophy, domestic affairs or the locks of your hair, the mystic vibration is sure to bring something new and interesting to the table every evening. So never miss another episode again. Subscribe to the Shock of the Hour now. And don't forget your key Swahili word of the day and your daily scientific fact. So, to subscribe, give us an email, priestisaac27@gmail.com, or call or WhatsApp us today. Area code 1268-728-3162. The Shock of the Hour. Never miss another program. And a special note to all our new subscribers. All our new subscribers will receive a special copy of the DVD documentary, full length, The Night of the Black Tiger, The Divinity of Marcus Messiah.